This is the Puck Junk Podcast.
Hello and welcome to the Puck Junk Hockey Podcast. I'm Sal Berry, and with me is Tim Parrish and Clemente Lisi. And today we are going to give our recap of the 2026 Winter Olympic Hockey Tournaments, the men's hockey tournament, the women's hockey tournament, USA winning both of them. I think this is the first time that's ever happened. So this is super exciting if you're an American hockey fan. We're also going to talk about some more Topps Now Olympic cards that came out that feature hockey players. And we're also going to talk about the upcoming 2025-26 Upper Deck Series 2 Young Guns checklist, which was recently revealed. And Upper Deck Series 2 is coming out, I think, like next week. So anyway, that's what's on the agenda. So, gentlemen, how are you doing? Did you enjoy the Olympics? I mean, obviously we enjoyed what we saw, the three of us being Americans. So of course we're going to have a skewed perspective. I don't think we've ever had a Canadian co-host. I know we've had, I think, a Canadian guest once or twice, but yeah, what did you guys think?
Tim, you go ahead. I was in the last episode, so.
Yeah, Tim, welcome back. Now you're back.
Is that how the pecking order goes?
I don't know. Just whoever feels like talking.
Well, I'm feeling golden right now. Thanks for asking.
Golden.
Yes.
I have to say the same, but we also got 20 inches of snow in New York, so I feel golden, but with a little bit, my arm's a little tired. So after watching the Olympics for, 2.5 weeks, I felt like I was in my own winter Olympic sport today, which was shoveling, cleaning off the car, all that stuff. But you know what? I did it with a smile on my face because when you win the gold medal in men's hockey, especially after so many years, 46 years, it does put a little pep in your step. So it's nice.
Only 20 inches? Man.
Only 20. Yeah.
Wow. That's weak sauce.
Yeah, we got like a half an inch in Chicago. I was able to deal with it Saturday night with a broom. I just literally just went with the broom and
you were like at the curling.
I kind of felt like a curler because I was like moving a broom really quick, and I kind of cracked up. I said, this is okay. I'd be good at curling. You're either brushing snow in the way of something or out of the way of something. So, which is funny because in hockey they got those people come out with the shovels to remove the snow so that the puck always moves fast. And in curling, it's like they're moving that snow so that it slows down the stone.
I have a funny add to that, not to curling, but to the hockey tournament, because it was in Milan. You know, it was interesting to me to not only watch the Olympics on NBC, obviously in English, but to be able to read about the Olympics and listen to podcasts in Italian about the Olympics. And I realized that the Italians do not call the Zamboni a Zamboni, which is funny because that's an Italian surname, and it was obviously named after the guy who invented the machine. But in Italian, it's literally called like machine that resurfaces ice. That's the translation.
Which is what it is, technically.
Which is what it is. It's called, in Italian, I can pronounce it. It's called macchina rasa ghiaccio. Okay? I think that's the first time we did everything in Italian on this podcast. But I was like,
we're cultured now.
I said, wouldn't it be easier just to call it Zamboni?
I know, right? Especially since it's an Italian name. It's not
but that's like the old commercial where it's like, who's al dente? It's like, it must be the guest speaker. Remember that commercial about the pasta being cooked, right? Al dente.
Oh,
it's not a person, right? So I think in Italian, if you said Zamboni's coming, they probably thought some old guy would show up or something. I don't know. It's not the name for the machine.
I think in other cultures are less inclined to give brand names to generic statements,
products,
and they call things what they actually are.
Right.
Like we call cotton swabs Q-tips, even though they're cotton swabs.
Yeah.
Or everything is Scotch tape, or everything's Kleenex. Even
everything's a Xerox machine, but it's
Xerox
not.
Machine. It could be other brands.
Yeah.
A Zamboni. There are other brand ice surfacers or ice resurfacers. Well, but the Zamboni is what we call all of them.
Olympia makes an ice resurfacing machine. That's the only other one I know of. But yeah, there's probably more than.
I always remember that anytime anybody brings up the Olympia machines, I always remember that video of the one that was going around the ice on fire.
Which is not a great endorsement for that product, right?
I also wonder, they're so much cheaper, I guess.
Yeah. Yeah, it also melts the ice if you wanted to. No, I do think that if you think about Sweden, Finland, Russia, like all the places they play hockey, I'm sure they have names for these machines that are not Zamboni. So it's probably something else. Zamboni is probably a Canadian, U.S. name for the machine, but it's like one of the first things I learned when I got into hockey in the 80s was like, oh, what's that called? Oh, it's a Zamboni. It's like, well, what does that mean? I mean, it wasn't until Upper Deck made a card of it that I even knew, because you couldn't Google stuff back then. I didn't even know why it had that name. So it's it's cool. Another reason to collect trading cards in the 90s. You actually learn stuff from it.
I probably knew that because I was that kid that, like, when I got into hockey, like right before my 14th birthday, I went to the library and I checked out every book I could on hockey, and it's funny because I read all the books in the kids section. So then I remember this was like the first time I ventured into the grown-up section of the library to check out more books, because I had read everything that was in the kids section in like a week. Because I was not trying to say, oh, I was so smart, I read all these kids books, but like I was like average in school in most places, but in like English and reading, I was always like above like my classmates. So that was it. That was always something, easy for me to do. Now I don't think I read as much, but yeah. So I learned it somewhere. Like I was just one of those, like, I was like 14 years old and I would be talking with people like my parents' age about the Summit series because I read about it in a book. You know what I mean? Like,
and they were alive for it. So
yeah, right. They were alive for it, so that I was able to talk to them about, like, Gump Worsley and Bobby Orr and Bobby Clark, just from reading all these things. But,
right.
You mentioned the Olympics being in Italy. And one thing I liked was when I would watch a feed of the game on Peacock. So a lot of times they didn't have commercials. They might have one commercial. Well, first of all, there was less commercials to begin with, and I liked that. And the game went a lot faster. The games were over in like 2.5 hours, unless they had like overtime. But like it would just cut to intermission, and then it would just be like on the camera, you'd see the two ice surfacing machines going around, and then you'd hear like them playing music, and you'd hear like the person over the loudspeaker, they'd be like, 1, 2, 3, start singing in Italian. And I'm like, yeah, what? I knew that part.
Yeah, all the English being spoken was done in very thick Italian accents. I did notice that, obviously.
Yeah.
Yeah, so no, that is funny. And no, I agree. There were less commercials, even though I was befuddled by the fact that there was those Pokemon commercials during the hockey games. It was so weird.
I got to bring something up about
They were a huge sponsor of the Olympics.
I know. And they had all celebrities in that commercial. I was like, do they have this kind of budget?
Okay.
Anyway,
when you say celebrities, you have to clarify that. Celebrities for people under the age of 30. I recognized Lady Gaga and one other person, and I was like,
Trevor Noah, but
Trevor Noah.
That's the other.
But there was a soccer player on there. Made me Lamine Yamal. Makes me think he's Spanish. Makes me think that this is an international ad that runs all over the world.
Absolutely.
Like the Mentos ones from the 90s. Remember, those were definitely international because they were awkward and weird, and they only said like 9 words, but in English or whatever.
Yeah, the Pokemon one it's been broadcast everywhere.
Yeah.
What I found. Oh, go ahead.
Yeah. No, that's it. I mean, I was surprised that they'd had this kind of budget, that the Olympics was a showcase for them, and it was very strange to me, but it was a very weird, and all these celebrities were in it.
What I found like weird about that is like whenever you're watching like a football game or a hockey game, I hear this more in football games, although I don't watch that much football, but like they'll say sponsored by name of company, tagline of the company, right? So they'd always be like sponsored by Toyota. Oh, what a feeling, right? Or what? Or I don't know if was it there.
Yeah. Or like Budweiser, right? King of beers. Yeah,
Budweiser, right? So I was waiting for Kenny Albert in his like kind of stilted delivery to be like brought to you by Pokemon, gotta catch them all, right? Like
No,
in his voice, I was waiting for him to say that. And it was like, brought to you by Pokemon. And he'd say Pokemon. Like we'd say Pokemon. And he goes,
Yeah.
Pokemon. And I'm
Right.
like, say it, Kenny. Gotta catch them all. But
No, there was no catchphrase. But I remember the first time
Yeah.
it was early on in the tournament, and I was like, I didn't hear that right. And then the period ended. They went to commercial. I'm like, no, this is a commercial for Pokemon. This is really weird. But of course, as you watch the whole tournament, it was like in every time they played. You know, we saw it. I think they sponsored the first intermission. Is that what it was? I feel like that's what they were.
It was the Pokemon intermission report.
That's right, exactly.
That is so weird because we're so used to like the Ford or the General Motors intermission report, you know, or even now like
now that we're talking about it, and we should tell the listeners and the viewers, we didn't pre-plan this conversation, but you would have thought that was a great opening for Topps, Fanatics, or Upper Deck, like. Because I consider Pokemon to be the cards, even though they do other things. They do toys, they do the Pokemon Go game. I mean, it's a whole industry. But I mean, if you're going to have a sponsor that's going to do, I mean, wouldn't it be a natural to have some hockey tie-in? I mean, if you're Upper Deck or if you're Topps, it would have been perfect.
Yeah, but they don't own Pokemon. So whoever makes I don't know who makes the Pokemon cards.
No, I'm not saying. I'm saying sponsor the intermission report. It's for the hockey tournament. It makes more sense.
Yeah, no, I mean,
then Pokemon is like, no, we'll do it.
They make more. Pokemon is more popular than hockey, I'm sure.
I'm sure it is. But what I'm saying is I understand Toyota or Budweiser would sponsor something like that because hockey fans also drive cars and they also drink beer. But do they also collect Pokemon cards?
No. But yeah, you're right.
That's the weird part.
At the closing ceremonies, and I'm sure this was done for a reason. But what was her name? The girl that won ice skating.
I know who you mean.
Alyssa Liu.
Yeah,
her and the other girl, who I keep forgetting her name. The one that didn't win.
I know who you mean. Yeah. She finished
the other American.
Yeah,
like they were coming up the thing, and you could see the one was filming the other one doing something. She was opening like Pokemon cards as they were walking through the thing. I'm like, why would they be doing that now? Unless it was for some stunt. So they had to have some sponsorship, I bet. That's what I was thinking. But more to the point, so it's funny you brought this up, or however we brought it up, because it was 2 minutes ago and I forget. But they were that was a big topic of discussion throughout, is the sponsorship revenue for the IOC. Because usually leading up to the Olympics, they sign these major deals with major corporate sponsorships, right?
Yeah.
Because everybody wants their commercial shown 1,000 times over the course of 2-3 weeks.
Right.
They were commenting over and over again. I saw articles about it, that this was like the lowest that they've brought revenue in from sponsorships since 2020, which, okay, that wasn't that long ago. But if you're talking the lowest sponsorship levels, and two of the lowest are in like the last 10 years, kind of tells you something about the direction things have gone.
Yeah.
Their biggest revenue generator from a sponsorship, I think, if I remember this right, it was with InBev. And InBev owns Anheuser-Busch.
Right.
So, but they're a Belgian company.
Right.
And Pokemon, again, is also owned by a non-U.S. company.
Japanese, right? Yeah.
Yep. And a couple of their other big sponsorships were Panasonic and Toyota. So not a lot of U.S. company sponsorships. Now, NBC has their own deals with people, but from the IOC level, you didn't see a lot of the advertising on those feeds that you're talking about, Sal, where they showed, maybe the Olympic feeds or other country feeds rather than just the ones that were stuck with NBC, because those are totally different. And I much rather watch the ones that didn't have the commercials. Like, I thought it was funny where it was just like, the in arena sound, and you heard everything that was going on, and you'd hear the announcer be like, "Okay, is everybody ready? 1, 2, 3," like you said. But every time I'd hear that, I'd look up because I'm thinking something's going on the ice or in the floor. Like there's going to be like mascots are going to be like shooting each other with t-shirt cannons or something.
Right.
And I'd look up and I'd be like, "There's nothing happening. Like, what is going on? Like, what were they counting down to?" And I'm like looking in the crowd, like, well, it's dark. You can't even see the people in the crowd, so I don't even know what they were counting down every time.
They were big on something. They were big on having people like put their lights on their phone on. I saw a lot of that.
Oh, is that what it was? Maybe that's why I
didn't
really notice.
And maybe they were doing like, I've been to sporting events, obviously, where they try to get people on like download an app and get you to like do something. It's all phone related. That's the thing. Everything is digital. Okay. Everything's on your phone. And you mentioned the revenue down from sponsorships is because it's much better, even if you're Pokemon, to give like some Olympians cards to open on TikTok. That gets more eyeballs and all these commercials that you know. And then a lot of Olympic coverage around the world. I've been to other countries during the Olympics. Sometimes they don't have any commercials. They just run a feed like you were saying on Peacock. It's just a feed that runs all day. And look, the U.S. has gotten better at this because you remember this, guys. Used to all be this recorded prepackaged stuff in prime time that was like 12 hours old. Then they realized with the internet, well, we can't do this anymore because people are going to know the scores. They're going to know what's happening. But if this had been 20 years ago, that U.S. and women's gold medal game would be on at 8 p.m. in prime time on like a 6-hour tape delay, and nobody would, pre-cable, pre-satellite, pre-internet. That's what you would get. And that's what happened with the 1980 Miracle on Ice. I mean, that was delayed 2-3 hours. That game is not shown live anywhere in the U.S. So it's technology's gotten better and coverage has gotten better as a result. But you're probably right about the revenue going down and all that. But I mean, I had it on when I was working from home or whenever I was home. It was on in the background. The Olympics were on all the time. And like today being Monday, being the first day the Olympics were over, I was kind of in withdrawal a little bit. Like, oh, it's over. So I just watched the Jack Hughes goal like 100 times over and over again.
This is like my first time in 3 weeks. I didn't turn my work TV on. What's today?
Right. Yeah. No reason to.
Sad. Yeah. I had zero reason to.
So coming up, we're going to talk about the women's hockey tournament, the men's hockey tournament, more Tops Now Olympic hockey cards, and then we'll talk about the Series 2 Upper Deck Young Guns checklist. The women's tournament, USA wins gold for the first time in, what was it? They won in 1998 and 2018. So about, 8 years? 1998 to 2018. I remember the 2018 one. That was the one that was in the shootout. Remember the 1998 one? I have that on tape. Yeah, actual cassette VHS tape. This was unfortunately, this was like I couldn't watch the game live. But just to give a little bit of a recap, so USA finished atop of Group A. Sweden finished atop of Group B. We talked about this in the last episode, so you don't really need to go through all this stuff again. But USA scored the most goals. USA allowed the least goals. I'm not surprised that they won the gold medal based on those two stats, but also, of course, it's easy to say, oh, well, I'm not surprised that they won because of this and because of that. But I mean, it was still a really freaking close game. Oh, and then the tournament bracket, again, with the U.S. beating Canada 2-1 to take gold, and then Switzerland. How about that? I mean, the Swiss women's team, their goaltender was named, or goalkeeper, as they call it in IIHF parlance, was the goalkeeper of the tournament. And they finished at the bottom of Group A, and yet they still were able to medal. So that's pretty freaking impressive.
They're like the women's version of Finland. We'll talk about the men's tournament, right? Like they basically snuck into the bracket, and then they won the bronze. So,
and you see that a lot when you have like these teams that are not necessarily hockey superpowers, but they'll have one player, usually their goaltender, that plays like way above their pay grade, and that can be enough to get them into the medal round, and sometimes even a medal. So USA took the gold medal, Canada took silver, Switzerland took bronze, fourth place went to Sweden, which, you would think that Sweden would have been because they've usually done pretty well at the in the women's tournament.
By the way, the men, Sweden were a disappointment in both tournaments.
Yeah, right. So, I mean, you kind of thought it was going to be USA Canada or Canada USA, and then Sweden somewhere in the mix. Maybe Sweden pulls an upset and they end up in the gold medal game. Maybe they don't pull an upset, but they still play well enough to get the bronze medal. You know what I mean? They're kind of like that third place team in like the women's women's hockey. And there was at one time in 2006 when they upset the women's the U.S. women's team to go, and then they ended up in the finals against Canada. So, but yeah, as far as this game goes, 2-1 in overtime. Goaltender Aaron Frankel stopped 30 out of 31 shots. Hillary Knight, the team captain. I mean, when I heard that she scored the game tying goal, I was just like, that is what you would expect of the team captain, right? Like when you need that player to just to will them a goal, and she did. And then Megan Keller got that sneaky game-winning goal in overtime. Quick story. The game started, I was on my way to school to go teach. And so I watched it on my phone. I actually got really, my phone tells me my screen time every week. And like in the last week, I think I was on my phone for like 4 hours, but like 3 hours of it was streaming the Direct TV app, watching the games on either USA or NBC. And so I was streaming it on my phone. I'm on the bus, I'm on the train. I get to my office at school. I put it on my computer screen. Another adjunct says to me, she's like, "Oh, are you watching hockey?" I go, "Yeah." And she goes, "The only thing I know about hockey is I watched Heated Rivalry on HBO." And so I'm like, she's like, "Is this an important game?" I'm like, "It's a gold medal game between the US and Canada." And she's like, "Oh, wow, that sounds important, right?" I got to go.
Yeah. Huh? I was going to interject to say that it always boggles my mind that like people don't watch the Olympics. I have no idea that this game is happening. I mean, because I watch so much of it, I guess we all do here, that it just still boggles my mind that people walk around going, "Oh, is this an important game?" Like you don't know the women are in the gold medal game. I guess you don't know that. I don't know. I mean, but it's just weird.
I heard the same thing. I said something about the Olympics to a group of people like a week or two ago, and they're like, "Oh, that's going on now? I thought that was only in the summer."
Oh boy,
like, what the hell's wrong with you people? Like seriously.
Yeah, that's even worse. That's even worse than not knowing the game is happening. It's like you don't even know there's a Winter Olympics.
Yeah,
they've been going on for like ever and ever. I don't know. It's people don't pay attention. They don't pay attention.
So I go from watching the game on my phone on mass transit to the faculty office at school, and then I have to go teach class. So I just tell my students, I say, if you see me nervously look at my phone every 5 minutes, I'm checking the score of this hockey game, this Olympic gold medal game, right? And
let me ask you, when class started, where were they in the second period? Where was
it? Was 0-0.
Oh, okay, so early still.
It was 1-0 Canada, and then I checked it again, and then I saw that it was tied. And I think I said to my class, if anybody cares, the U.S. team just tied the game. And then I remember looking again, and then it was like in intermission, and I'm like, oh my God, okay, they're doing the full intermission. This isn't like the shootout. This isn't like we're going to do a 3-on-3 right away. They actually gave like the intermission. So then it was like, so I'm like thinking, okay, if this goes on a little bit longer, I could run back to my office. But then by the time class was over, the US team had won. And so then I went back to my office. I watched highlights. And then I actually had another class like that evening. So I had like a gap, but then there was no hockey on after that. So, Yeah, I mean that kind of sucks that I wasn't able to watch it, but I tried to keep up to it, keep up
No,
with it as
so I have a
I can.
similar experience that like I did watch a lot of stuff on my phone when I was, in transit, but I was going to go to my parents' house for dinner that night. I actually was able to watch the game at home. And then as soon as it ended, I like bolted to go to my parents' house. And that's when I first thing I got there, they were like, "Oh, do you see the women won the gold medal?" And they were like so into it. They had watched the game, they watched the whole tournament. And my parents are sports fans. Like I said, they don't watch the NHL. They're not watching, the Super Bowl even. But they watched this, and it was like, and my mom works in a school, and she had the week off because they had midwinter break in New York. And so she's like, "Oh, it's been on all day. I've been watching these Olympics all day." And I'm like, this is where I think this sport that we love, we talk about every week, we talk about the hobby, it gets propelled into like the mainstream that people are watching. It's like the women's soccer team. It's whenever you talk about national teams, World Cup, international tournaments, it starts to spill over. And we saw that with the men, obviously, as well, with the NHLers, even better. So it's nice to see this sport that we love that feels very much like Dungeons and Dragons sometimes break into the mainstream. It feels like very niche, very small, break out into like where everyone's talking about it. I mean, maybe the women not so much. I mean, we'll talk about the men soon. Like that thing was everywhere on social media, everywhere people went, everywhere I went, people were talking about it. It was so it's nice that there's a breakthrough. Now it may just go back, becomes dormant, and then we'll be the only ones watching the Sharks play the Flyers at 10:30 p.m. on a Friday night, maybe. But whatever. Like it's nice to know that there is interest in this game and this sport beyond, certain limits that we often see ourselves. So
I mean, the two things that are going to draw people in is either their local team wins a championship and everybody talks about it, or the national team wins a championship and then everybody's talking about it. Or maybe in the case of Connor Bedard, him getting drafted and him being this hyped prospect, and then just all the hype around that actually drew a lot of people back into hockey in Chicago. Although I think more of it was just dormant than like new, like just like people rekindling. But yeah, I mean that's the obviously, I mean, this is the time. And when you have a team like USA, and actually let me just back it up. Like I've said this before, I've been saying this for years. When Canada wins a gold medal, it's like, yay, Canada won the gold medal. We're the best. They're the best because Canada invented the sport. Okay, that's great, right? But when USA wins a gold medal in hockey, then there's like it leads to a surge in development and more people being interested and more young women wanting to play hockey because they saw the 98 Olympic team or the 2018 Olympic team or the 2026 Olympic team, right? So I feel that like USA winning a gold medal has more growth on the sport of hockey than Canada winning the gold medal, because Canada's expected to win the gold medal. And it's just such a big part of their life and their culture anyway. I mean, is it going to inspire people? Of course it is. You know what I mean? Did Crosby inspire a generation in 2010 when he scored the golden goal against the US? Of course he did. You know what I mean? So I'm not saying that it doesn't help. I feel like it probably has a more measurable impact on the US, and especially in like the women's game. What do you guys think?
I'd like to make a comment on that.
Please.
Because here's one thing that we can agree on 100%. And I can't say more than 100% because you can't have that mathematically. So I will say 100%. Because it does. And you're right. Canada wins. They're expected to win. It's like that in men and women. They expect it to win. And when they don't win, it's like destroyed their entire country's morale for the next 5 years. When it doesn't happen, because that's ingrained into the culture up there, and it is what it is, and it's great. I wish hockey could be ingrained in our culture in the United States too, but it's not. It's never going to overcome football. But you're right. The impact of that has impacts on potentially generations, and we're seeing that now, because I've watched women's hockey I won't lie and say since the beginning, because I don't think I did. But the last few Olympics I have, and I've paid pretty close attention. And I've said numerous times, all the games that I've watched of the PWHL, and even when the PHF was in existence, I watched those games when they were available, and you could find them on various feeds online and on YouTube. So I've seen some of the progression of how things have gone. This is by far the most dominant Team USA women's team I've ever seen, ever, like ever. And there've been some pretty good teams and really decent teams. I mean, when you look at the sport overall, yeah, it's completely lopsided, right? I mean, North American teams have won every gold and silver medal since they put it in the Olympics, and every gold and silver in all of like the IAHF World Championships, except for one silver medal that Finland got in 2019. So you have two dominant superpowers when it comes to that sport overall. But to look at this U.S. team and to see them go out there, outscoring their opponents 33-2, and just completely mopping the floor with almost everybody they played against, um, is insane to me. But the fact that you now have a team that's at that point, and you see what their roster makeup is, because we have the PWHL now, and you can arguably say that, okay, these are going to be the best women in women's hockey. They're going to be the professional players that get to play on teams. And I understand we have limited rosters and we have a limited amount of teams right now. So there's probably some players out there that don't get their just desserts here. But as the league expands and you add more teams and add more players, you're going to start to see that, branch out. But the fact that you have the Caroline Harveys of the world and the Abby Murphys of the world and the Layla Edwards of the world that are coming up, and they're college players that are playing on Team USA with the professional players that have been around for years, that tells you something. You have a roster makeup that's made up of college kids in addition to the pros. You got a mix. So obviously these girls are good enough to play with the pros. They're going to be pros real soon. I mean, heck, everybody is pretty much conceding that Caroline Harvey is going to be the number one pick in the PWHL draft. So, and behind them is another class, and behind them is another class. So the development of Team USA, it relies strongly on these IIHF tournaments and Olympics in order to get the people to see this and see what it can be, and to see how the sport has kind of evolved, and to see that there's potential opportunities above and beyond playing at the collegiate level. So I think it's great. I mean, it's great to expand the sport.
Yeah, I'll piggyback off of that to say that I thought the women's tournament, I've watched the last few. I think the level of play has gotten way better, and it was fun to be able to watch teams that had players that I recognized because of the PWHL. Like, it's a big deal, and I don't know if they show these nationwide, but like I noticed that the league was advertising during the Olympics. Maybe they were doing that locally in New York. So that's a great sign, and I think having a league, because my hope is that, like in women's soccer, people will watch the US and then want to watch the domestic league. So maybe the biggest bump here will be not just US hockey, women, but even the league, because now it's like, you know what, you can watch these women play every week if you want. You don't need to wait every 4 years. And so that's a big deal, I think. And that's good, not just for the US, but for Canada, for Switzerland, for anybody who wants to play in the league, because so this could be the best women's league in the world. And it's not the NHL. That'll take decades, right? But you got to start somewhere, and I do think the PWHL is starting to do that. And we know it's popular. We know people stream it. We know people watch it. We know that the inaugural Upper Deck set was when gangbusters, people couldn't find it, right? I mean, it's probably the hottest hockey set of 2025, right? So we know there's an audience here. And so I was happy about the tournament, about the US winning, but also I think the growth it's there, and they should be very proud of themselves. I think there's a lot of potential there for sure.
Yeah, that's definitely going to continue to grow. I mean, when you look at this Team USA team and you see the leading goal scorer is Hannah Bilka. She's like 24 years old. You have Erin Frankel on goal. She's like 26. Taylor Heisey. She's the PWHL MVP.
Right.
She's 25.
Right.
So it's like
they'll be around for another
young.
cycle or two for sure.
Yeah. So it's like I said, there's another wave coming. There's a wave after that. Half the team is going to be there the next time around. So it's exciting.
So just to recap some of the names who were recognized for their play in the women's tournament. So the tournament directorate, 3 best players. The best goalkeeper was Andrea Brandl, Brandley of Switzerland. Best defender, Caroline Harvey of the United States. Best forward, Marie-Philippe Poulin of Canada. Not surprised with that pick. And then the media all-star team, again, Swiss goaltender, Andrea Brandley. And then defenders, Caroline Harvey and Lila Edwards, also from the USA. Forwards, Hannah Bilka, Bilka, USA. Marie-Philippe Poulin, Canada, and Alina Mueller, Switzerland. And I don't know if either of these Swiss women play in the PWHL, but I think
Alina
if you're
Mueller does.
Yeah, okay. I thought her name was familiar, and I should know her name. I know they have a Czech. One of the teams has a woman who was born in the Czech Republic, who was she's a rookie this year. I know this because she had a game dated moment card, and I was like, oh, that's cool. Like, so we're seeing players from other countries make it into the PWHL. So as it expands, as you get players from other countries coming in, that's going to only make the league more popular, even though there might not be like a European expansion. But, I would say that when you had the Swedes and the Finns and the Czechs and the Slovaks and the other nations start sending, their players started coming to play in the NHL, that made the NHL more popular in Europe, right? I mean, because, they have players there now who are on the teams. So, yeah. Oh, and then Caroline Harvey was the tournament MVP. So, and also, she had a Leaf card. Leaf issued an autographed card of hers, $34.99. I didn't buy it. Now I have FOMO. Leaf never tells you how many. Sometimes they don't tell you. They just say limited time. And I said, I'll buy it before I send out the newsletter. And then it was sold out before I could even send the newsletter. So
sometimes they'll give you the print run after they make them.
Mm-hmm.
They like to not tell you until they sell as many as they feel like selling.
Yeah, I mean, I remember I bought. Well, sometimes they print them on. They make them print on the print. They print to demand, because I think I bought like a it was something like a Mike Richter autograph, and it was like mine was numbered 35 out of 35, and I messaged Greg Code of Leaf, and I said, "So you only made 35 of these, huh?" He says, "Yep, we made exactly as many that were ordered." And I go, "Oh, okay." So I was like the last person to order it in that like 3-day window or whatever for that particular card, because they said it'd be available for this many days or whatever. So,
well, it's kind of interesting on here. Marie-Philippe Poulin got the best forward, and she was hurt for part of the tournament. And this was still the best forward, at least from Canada. I thought that interesting. Because remember, U.S. played Canada early on in the tournament, in the round robin, like those qualifying games.
mm-hmm.
And U.S. beat Canada.
Yeah, 5-0. Yeah, they beat them handily.
They stomped on them. And the talk was, if MPP would have been in the lineup, that wouldn't have happened.
Right.
But
well, there you go. So they didn't. Got it. And she scored the goal for Canada, didn't she, in that gold medal game? I believe she did.
Yeah, she scored a lot of their goals. So
no. But in the 2-1 gold medal game, Yeah. So I mean, you had your captains. You had Hillary Knight and you had Marie Philippulin score for their respective squads, as you'd kind of expect your captain to do in an intense gold medal game. So
people that aren't familiar with women's hockey, MPP is the women's hockey equivalent of Sidney Crosby.
Yeah,
I mean that's the easiest explanation you can make on that.
So yeah, that was exciting. Obviously, sorry I couldn't watch that game live. I was able to watch the next gold medal game live, and we'll talk about that next. Unless you guys have any other thoughts about this one before we move on to the men's tournament.
Well, just one last thought is that, like Sal, like you said in the last episode, and I think Tim said this in the preview potentially, that defenses win championships. These were very close games, especially towards the end. The men's gold medal game is the same score, right? And so it just goes to show you that, in a short tournament like the NHL playoffs, you need a hot goalie, keep things tight, and it made for some exciting hockey because if either one of these gold medal games had been 6-1, sure, it's nice to win the gold medal, but it wouldn't have been the enjoyable viewing experience that both these games turned out to be, and both in overtime, which is super exciting, I think.
Yep, yeah, defense wins championships. I tell my kids that all the time, and they laugh at me. Defense is boring. I don't care.
This tournament, both the men and women proved that theory to a T. So, I mean,
that's exactly right. You get a goaltender that can stand on their head for one game or two games or three games
or six. You don't need that.
That's all you need.
Yeah,
that stifling defense, shut down the neutral zone, and make them work to get across the blue line. That's it. You limit their opportunities.
So the men's tournament, USA men's Olympic hockey team also won the gold medal. I know I sound a little more excited about this, and part of it is because I was actually able to watch it live, and it's a little bit fresher in my mind because, I mean, I watched those YouTube highlights of the women's game later that day, and this game, as we watched it on Sunday, we're recording this on Monday. So, I mean, that was one of the best games I've seen. I mean, tense because of all the shots that USA gave up. I mean, tense for both sides. But just real quick, I just want to recap. So we got the different groups. So Canada finishes atop of Group A. USA finishes atop of Group C. Slovakia finishes atop of Group B. But, Canada and US were undefeated. And everybody said it was going to be the gold medal game between those two, and it was. But I mean, if you look at the road on how they got there, right? Like looking at the qualification rounds were all pretty lopsided. Although Czechia and Denmark, that was pretty close. But then look at the quarterfinals. Canada had to beat Czechia in overtime. Finland had to beat Switzerland in overtime. The United States had to beat Sweden in overtime. The only game that wasn't an OT quarterfinal was Slovakia beating Germany 6-2. So you look at that. I mean, it's just like, yes, the better teams won because the better teams win. If Sweden beat US, that would have been an upset. If Czechia had beaten Canada, that would have been a huge upset, right? You know what I mean? So in the end, the better team won, but it was just like barely a win, or it was a win's a win, but an overtime win, I mean, it's just, it could have gone either way, especially with the 3-on-3 tournament. And then you look at the the semis, then Canada beat Finland 3-2, US beat Slovakia 6-2. So, I mean, those were a little more spaced apart, although I think wasn't Canada behind and then they tied and then they won, right? I did not get to watch that
one. The Canada-Finland game was crazy because Finland was winning 2-0, and I knew that even a 2-goal lead on Canada isn't enough. And Canada, as they proved throughout the tournament, the second period, but the third period, they really turned it on. And, I wasn't keeping score of the minutes. Thankfully, they did that in the final, in the championship game. But you heard a lot of the same names: McDavid, Celebrini. These guys are playing 25 minutes a game, maybe more. They were playing a lot, and maybe they got tired by the time they got to the final. It's possible. Crosby being injured, that doesn't help them as they go on.
Yeah.
And then another note, Sweden, we talked about being a disappointment. The team that was a big surprise, I thought Slovakia, but
Yeah.
they fell apart in the middle round. But up until then, I did not think the US can beat them by that much, but it just became a rout. But I was surprised. I thought, oh, Slovakia could pull an upset here. It could go, this could be a Slovakia Finland gold medal game, and then it would have been like, okay, I'll watch, but who cares? And Canada, US for the bronze is
Not gonna
probably,
lie, I kind of felt the same. So
yeah. So, but it worked out. It was great. But yeah, the tournament was interesting. I mean, the teams that in the men's tournament surprised me. Denmark. I mean, they came out of nowhere. I thought they played really well. So it was a good tournament. Obviously, with the NHLers, it makes it super exciting. The Canadians were on a torrid pace. We talked about that in the last episode. Like, I was really scared of them, but I think they ran out of steam as it kept on going. No Crosby definitely hurt them.
Oh God, yeah.
And I know we'll talk more about Canada, US, but I mean, if there is, to me, an MVP, and I'm going to talk about the MVP, Jack Hughes, obviously, but Celebrini, I mean, an amazing tournament for this guy. I mean, 19 years old, he's playing lights out. So,
yeah. My sleeper pick from our preview kind of left a lot to be desired because I thought Germany was going to make a splash. But
I think you said that you thought that Finland was going to finish bronze, Tim, if I remember correctly.
I thought Finland would have been a medal round team.
They were. They got.
I think you picked the right order, actually.
Yeah. You picked USA, Canada, Finland, and I said Canada, USA, and then I think I had Czechia for. Oh man, I blew that bracket.
Yeah,
which is why I don't gamble on sports.
I just remember talking about Germany and thinking Germany would be that sleeper team that could make a mess of the whole thing.
Mm-hmm.
And but Matt was right. Always a bridesmaid, never a bride.
Yeah,
as he said to Draisaitl.
I was gonna say, yeah. Right.
Who said that? I thought that was to Leon. Who said that?
Matt Tkachuk. Oh, they were the whole game. They were chirping.
Okay.
The whole game they were chirping him, just relentlessly, and you could see it was ticking him off. But I mean, what do you expect from the Brothers of Destruction?
Yeah. So anyway, so Finland beat Slovakia 6-1 to claim the bronze medal, and then United States beats Canada 2-1 in the gold medal game. Wow. I mean, okay. First of all, I just want to talk, those of you who are listening to this podcast, I want to describe this image that we're looking at. Because I feel like we know the 1980 U.S. Olympic team. Even if you didn't watch that game, there's probably two images that you just know what images I'm talking about. The first image is the celebration where like there's the one guy on his knees and like somebody hugging him and like everybody, like just that mob of players, they're in their white jerseys because that was against Russia, the actual Miracle on Ice. So that picture. You've seen it a million times. It's iconic. And then the other one I think that really stands out is Jim Craig skating with the flag wrapped around his shoulders, right? And he's kind of looking, I think he's looking in the stands for his father because his head is kind of turned a little bit away from, like, he's not looking towards the camera, he's looking a little bit away, but not like a lot. This picture that's circulated of Jack Hughes with his fist in the air, with a huge grin, missing teeth. Half of his teeth are bloody. He's got like 2 chipped teeth. And then he's got the American flag wrapped around his shoulders. I mean, this, I feel like this is the picture, or.
Well, it's like Rocky. It's like Rocky. I mean, it's like the movie Rocky. I mean, it's, and then the teeth missing it from the high stick that happened during the game, obviously. And, people have been calling this picture Jack-o'-lantern, which I think is hilarious.
That's awesome.
Which is great. But it's an iconic image. But there's a couple. I mean, you mentioned Jim Craig. I mean, Connor Hellebuck had shades of that when he was after they won the game. So
Well, but I think the other picture that I would think about would be there's a great overhead photo of Hellebuck making that stick save off the paddle of his stick. Like instead of keeping his stick low, he just elevated just enough to knock the puck out of the air. And I feel like that's the other one. I feel like the Hughes one is maybe a little, because that one was just seen everywhere. And the Hellebuck one, I mean, I've seen a lot of different photos of that. So, but I feel like that's also like, anyways, yeah, I don't know. I think this is just a cool picture. So, yeah, anyways,
looks like you should make a card out of it.
Yeah, and it's funny that Topps, we're gonna get to the Topps cards. Topps kind of made a card of it, which annoys me because once again, when you go, oh, that would make a great hockey card photo, and then a company makes a hockey card, uses that as a photo, but makes that the super short printed variant. Because Jack Hughes has a card. We'll talk about these in a bit, but this image was used on the super short print. So anyways, just to recap, Brock Faber scored a great opening goal 6 minutes into the game, split the defense of Cale Makar and Devon Taves. And
not just split the defense, he freaking alley-ooped that puck to himself and popped it up in the air.
Yeah,
that was get it over their sticks.
Tapping it on his, just kept it in the air for like 2 click. Yeah,
that was wild.
People aren't talking about that goal enough.
Yeah, no, absolutely. That was crazy. And look, the first period, the U.S. owned Canada, and then I think periods 2 and 3, we know the Canadians had the domination, but Connor Hellebuck was tremendous.
Well, and our penalty killers.
Yeah, the penalty killers, the special teams for sure. So that all helped, and yeah, I mean, it was. I knew I was like, this game is going to go to overtime. I just felt it.
Yeah, and then of course Cale Makar tying it for Canada, and then Jack Hughes scoring the game winner in overtime. So Canada outshoots the U.S. 42-28. I mean, with Hellebuck stopping 41 of those 42 shots. I mean, I know he's won MVP. I know he's won Vezina trophies. And then I'm watching him and I go, wow, Hellebuck is of course you're a good goalie when you have like the nation's best players in front of you. But I go, okay, so the problem is in Hellebuck in Winnipeg.
Well, he gets all the criticism of, he can't win the game, big game. He can't win under pressure. People can shut up about that now.
Yeah. Yeah.
Well, even if he doesn't win a Stanley Cup in Winnipeg, they can just shut up about that now.
Yeah. So that was that was I couldn't believe just how freaking just how focused he was, how on he was. I mean, what an average game, 30 shots, maybe 25, 30 shots. And this was 42. I mean, obviously it's different. I know that the USA versus Italy women's game, I think they got something like 40, 50 shots against the Italian goaltender. And I think Italy only had 6 shots on net the whole game. So yeah, I mean, I know it varies based on the competition, but these are 2 great teams, and to face 42 shots from the Canadians is pretty freaking intense. So the best 3 players, Connor Hellebuck, best goalkeeper, Quinn Hughes of the U.S., obviously, best defender, and then best forward, Connor McDavid. And then as far as speaking
of bridesmaids.
Yeah. Oh, Connor McBridesmaid.
We should apologize to our Canadian listeners. We're not making fun, but he's got a penchant for finishing second and winning MVP. So
I'm making fun.
He finished. Yeah. If there's a Kachuk on the other team, they're gonna lose. That's just how it is, right? What was the Battle of Calgary of Alberta like? Those when Kachuk was on the Flames. I don't know if the Flames beat the Oilers more or not, but I know he was always in the middle of those games.
I have to say that looking at this all-star team, I mean, whatever, the media comes up with, they vote on this. I get it, but I don't know. Maybe I'm talking out of turn here, but I don't see McDavid as the MVP here. I just don't. I mean,
Wrong Connor.
I mean, yeah. I mean, there's Hallebuck, there's Jack Hughes potentially, there's Quinn Hughes, and then there's even Celebrini. I don't know. I just feel like there's a lot of other players that played consistently well throughout. If you think about it, this reminds me, and I'm maybe mixing things up here, but I remember Peyton Manning one year was injured and missed the whole season, and the Colts were terrible, right? And they were like, "Well, he's the MVP. He's not there, so give it to Sidney Crosby because clearly Canada can't win these games if he's not in the lineup, right?" But I don't see Connor McDavid as MVP. I just not in this tournament. I mean, he played well, he played a lot, but I don't see it. And just based on even the last 2 games, I don't know. I mean, I know it's the whole tournament. I just don't see McDavid as the MVP.
He had the most points. He
Okay.
had the most points, so that was why he had something like, was it like 13 points in 5 games or something? I don't know.
Is that how they do it then? I mean, then I mean, that's
not necessarily.
that's
I have to,
top
I'll have
score.
to find that stat. But
Yeah, that's just top
here,
score.
actually,
That's generally how they always do it. I mean,
Here.
even in the NHL, the MVP is supposed to be the most valuable to your team, but
Here,
it ends up being
McDavid.
whoever scored the most goals.
6 games played, 2 goals, 11 assists, 13 points. Second leading scorer, Celebrini, with in 6 games, 5 goals, 5 assists for 10 points, right? Lucas Raymond, third in scoring. Okay. So
he was an assist machine. I mean, we don't know that from even the preliminary round, but
yeah,
I don't know. I think Celebrini, I mean, given everything else, if you're going to give it to the guy in the losing team, there's a lot of other guys you can give it to, I thought.
Well,
Celebrini was impressive to me. I mean, he's impressive anyway when you get to watch him in the NHL. And honestly, I think he could win the MVP right now in the NHL.
Oh yeah. Right now he would win it. I think I agree with that.
But he was highly impressive in this tournament. I mean, just the fact that he's out there with all of these guys, with all the experience and all the winning that they've done, and him being as young as he is, he took it and rode with it.
He didn't keep up with them. He was playing. I mean, he was a 10-year veteran.
He was on their top line.
Yeah.
I had him out there with McDavid and McKinnon.
Yeah, I was thoroughly impressed with his play.
So speaking of the media all-stars, real quick. So Connor Hellebuck, okay, so of course if he's named the best goalkeeper is usually I don't even know why they do like a tournament directorate. Okay, they pick their 3 best players and then the media picks their 6 best players, but usually the 3 end up being on that media all-star team. So you got Hellebuck, you got Quinn Hughes, you got Cale Makar, Connor McDavid, Macklin Celebrini, and then Juraj Slavkovsky of Slovakia, who is 4th in tournament scoring. But I mean, he was
was all over the place in every game that they played. His name was being said over and over and over. He was all over the dang ice.
Yeah, he was. He had a good, obviously a great tournament. And then Connor McDavid again, tournament MVP. This is kind of like when we looked at the year that he won the Conn Smythe Trophy,
but they lost the Stanley Cup.
But it's like, well, he led the playoffs in scoring, and he tied Gretzky's record, or maybe broke it. I can't remember now for like playoff points, and it was like, and then he had like 7 points in one game, and like so he did all these great things, and so I get it. Like he was the reason why Edmonton did as good as they did in that tournament. I feel like in this one, no Hellebuck, no gold medal for the U.S. That's just you know what I mean? Like, and if Crosby was in this game, I feel like Canada would have won because I feel like a team with Crosby and McDavid is just, you have two guys that are just capable of being that guy who's just going to get that goal. You know what I mean? So, that beat you in the tiebreaker. So I don't know. I feel bad for him, for McDavid. I thought it was funny. I don't have a picture of it, but they handed out these like little dolls. They look like Pokemon. They were like the Olympic mascots.
That's right. Yeah.
And they're like handing everyone one on the ice. And I'm like, first I'm like, is that a Labubu? And I'm like, is that a Pokemon? I'm like, oh, I'm like, okay. Then I had to look it up, and it was like their mascot. And that just seemed like such a weird thing that they're like, and here's your silver medal, and here's a little toy. You know what I
Because
mean?
they did that to all the athletes. But when you're a snowboarder or you're a skier and it's only 3 people on a podium, it's different than like a whole team. And look,
yeah, and they've been doing this for a few Olympics now, and I still think it's weird.
That's almost a thing, though, that you just bring a box of them into the locker room after the game and say, "Here you go." You know what I mean? Instead of like, "And I'm giving one to you."
And by the way, in team sports, finishing second is horrible. But in the individual, like if you say you're in the alpine downhill or something, skier, you finish second, you're like, wow, I finished second. Like that's a huge achievement. You get the silver medal here. It means you lost in the championship game. As a Nike ad would say, you're the first loser, but you lost. You lost your chance.
This is what I tried to explain to my wife.
There was only one medal here that you want to win. You want to win gold. The other ones don't matter. But if you squeeze out and get 3rd place in snowboarding, that's amazing. Like that's really hard earned. This is hard earned as well. But you're telling me that these players are going to hang out their silver medals in their trophy room? Probably not. But Tim, what were you saying about
that? I tried to explain this to my wife yesterday. I was like, all the other sports where you're rated based on points, or it's you head to head versus somebody else, or you head to head versus a field, where it's a point-based system or something like that. You win gold, you win silver, you win bronze. In hockey, at the Olympics, you win bronze, you win gold, you lose silver.
Right. Yeah.
I mean, that's just the way it is. That's the only medal that you get by losing.
I almost I thought of this. I almost felt like the silver should go to like the 3rd place team, and the bronze should go to the 4th place team, and the 2nd place team gets nothing because they don't want it. I mean,
kind of, yeah. Because what year was it? It wasn't that long ago that somebody like chucked their medal into the crowd. Remember that?
Right.
That was a World Junior Championship,
which I don't like.
2020. Was that Lafreniere who did that?
I don't remember who it was or what it was from. I mean, it's poor taste, but still, that's the feeling you have. You're in the moment, and you're pissed. I mean, that's it.
Yeah, like I know,
you could see it on their faces when they got their stuffed animals. Did you? You saw McKinnon?
Yeah.
No, it was McCarr. Was it McCarr or McKinnon? One of them looked at this thing and was like, "What the? Like, what am I supposed to do with this?"
Yeah.
Like seriously.
No. Yeah, I get it. I know in soccer it's a big no-no when you finish runner-up, because they're even called silver. It's like you finish runner-up and they put the medals around them and the players take them off and just hold them. They don't even want to have it on. It's seen as bad sportsmanship because they're not happy about getting the 2nd place. It's not a thing, as opposed to, like, as you described, the other sports. So
it's like getting a participation trophy. It's like, what's the point?
Yeah, no, but you were still so you're.
It's the way it feels, not the way what it is, though. But the way it feels.
It sucks to lose obviously a championship game, but at the same time, I know that a lot of players, like when they've won, lost, and gotten the silver medal, like 20 years later, they'll be just like, yeah, I'm glad I won something. I'm glad that I got a medal. No, I would love to have gotten the gold, but I'm proud of what we accomplished as a team. And you know what I mean? Like, so it's not.
Well, I was genuinely.
Yeah, I'm not diminishing the accomplishment at all. Yeah, I'm not diminishing the accomplishment at all.
I mean, when I asked Jeremy Roenick, I asked Jeremy Roenick I said, what are your 3 favorite hockey memories? And one he said was getting a silver medal in 2002. He said, getting to play in the Olympics, and we had such a great team and we lost, but I years later I have this silver medal, and it's fantastic to have.
Tim's right, in the moment, and then 20 years later,
of course.
Different. I mean, I truly felt sorry, and I should preface this by saying we seem very calm here, but I'm sure all of us. I mean, I was screaming, I was yelling.
Yep.
Then I was crying. We'll talk about that. But I felt generally bad for Celebrini because his head was down on the bench. Like he's a kid, like, and he really gave it his all. The other guys, I feel like that they've played in the NHL a long time. They've won a lot, whatever. I mean, I feel bad for a young kid, and he played really well. I mean, it was amazing. But yeah, we were very subdued here. I'm sure all of us were. I mean, I don't know if you were. I mean, there's like a meter, like either you're Cash Patel and you're like whatever, or you're on the other side of the spectrum in terms of like the emotion. But this is like watch parties all over the country. This is a big deal. This is 46 years. We talk about Miracle on Ice all the time. It's like legendary. It's like the biggest sports moment in American history. Transcends all sports. This is going to be in that top 5, top 10 because of how long it took. First time with NHLers, happening at the same time as the women. I mean, this is a big, big deal. I think culturally for the US, we're so divided as a people. I don't want to get political, but let's be honest. Nothing unites us. This united people.
Right.
Maybe not everybody, but vast majorities of people who are embarrassed to wave flags or do all that stuff. I'm very proud to be American. I'm proud about the victory. I'm super excited. It's great for hockey. It's great for everything. And it's a morale booster. And there's so few moments like that in our culture that it's nice to see something galvanize a country and a people. And I mean, Jack Hughes, how do you not like this kid? I mean, it's super amazing what he did. And, and he's so ecstatic about it. It's just truly, truly a wonderful achievement. Let's be honest.
Yeah, no, I mean, I never got to witness a game like this before. And, like I said, I mean, I watched a little bit of the 88 Olympics, which was funny because I didn't know hockey back then. And that wasn't like what awakened my hockey fandom. It was like I'd randomly catch an Olympic game. And I remember this guy named Richter was a goalie, and it was Richter this and Richter that and Richter. And I thought, wow, this guy must be great because that's all they're talking about. I didn't realize he was making like 40 saves a game. And you know what I mean? On a US team that was like outmatched by like all the other teams pretty much. So I didn't know that like he was a, that like if you hear the goalie's name, it's because he's working a lot. And then I remember like a couple of years later when I got into hockey for real and in hockey cards, I'm like, oh, Richter, that's the guy who played on the Olympics, right? So it was kind of like a full circle moment. But, the 92 Olympics, the 94 Olympics, the 98 Olympics, the 2002, 2006, 2010, 14, 18 and 22 watching, but not really being super into it because the time zone differences and then the lack of NHL players. And then here we are, right? So yeah, it's awesome to finally see this, I mean, yeah, 40, almost, 38 years for me of watching Olympics and getting to see a gold medal, USA win the gold medal in hockey twice, both men and women. I've seen the women do it 2 times and now 3 times. And yeah, this is amazing. This is
and Tim was right in our group chat. 2010 really burned for me, and so I know it did for Tim. So
well, here's the other thing.
Crushing. It was crushing.
Yeah. Oh God, yeah.
I mean, other than the fact that I at least had some semblance of pride in the fact that, Crosby scored the golden goal and he came from, my favorite team. It was a crushing defeat. And I think back to all the years of watching, the Olympics and watching Olympic hockey, and you think to those USA teams that had pro players between the Olympics and the international type tournaments and stuff, going from like 96 to 2002, you had like that core group of guys that were always there, that were always on the teams, but you never could quite get over the hump all the time because you always had all these other countries that were still better and still more put together and more developed. It had a better, not to diminish anything from those teams, but then what did you have coming in behind them? Not really much of anything. And that's why this team is so exciting, is because they were pretty dominant going through this tournament. They faced a little bit of adversity here and there, but to beat your arch rivals, the team that bests you like almost all the time, the one you have to go up against, that juggernaut, and to knock them out And then to look at the composition of this team and see who's on it. The average age of the players on this team is 25. Like most of this roster construction will be back. And with, the development of like NCAA programs and stuff for guys coming up in the US, just like I make the comments I made about the women, the same applies to the men's, at least for international play. So this is big. This is big at getting over 2010, in addition to what it's going to go and the direction it's going to head in the future. I think it's huge.
So they did a couple of group photos at the end. They did the team photo where they were around the Olympic banner, and then then they did another one with like the coaches and the personnel, which I thought was nice to do one where they included like the coaches and the trainers and stuff. And then they did another one where they brought out Johnny Gaudreau's hockey jersey and his two kids. And it was a real nice moment because, I mean, Gaudreau would have most likely have been on the U.S. team had he still been alive today. And, it sucks, obviously, for a lot of reasons, when somebody dies in a wholly preventable way. I know we talked about this 2 years ago when he passed, when he was killed by a drunk driver, he and his brother. That, I mean, if a player, and I don't want to get into that conversation again, you know what I mean? Like if somebody dies and it's their own stupidity, that's still tragic. But when somebody dies because of somebody else's stupidity and it's somebody that everybody loved, I mean, nobody had anything bad to say about Johnny Gaudreau, nobody, or his brother. No, you know what I mean? I mean, he was just but all his teammates loved him. His opponents liked him and respected him. So for Team USA to bring out his jersey and his kids, and it was just such a touching moment. And I know you guys have a lot more thoughts about this, so have at it.
Well, I could tell you this: when the whole entire tournament, they had 13 hanging in the locker room, and correct me if I'm wrong, but I think they did the same thing for Four Nations.
Yes.
So the fact that it was coming out on the ice if they won, I mean, that was a certainty. But when they did the team photo, and then you see it gets me thinking about it now too. But you see Z and Larks go to the like off camera where the cameras were filming them, and they skate away, and then they skate back, and they've got both of the kids to bring them in and put them in the picture. That got me because we're still watching, all the stuff after, as long as they kept the cameras rolling. And I was feeling it here, man. I was feeling it. That did it for me. So
yeah, no,
that was an awesome gesture.
Yeah.
Awesome.
Yeah, we said that in the group chat yesterday, and yeah, it's true. It was, yeah. I knew the jersey was in the locker room. I guess in that moment, I didn't think they were going to bring it onto the ice, have the kids. I didn't know his parents were in the crowd because they did pan to them. I didn't know any of that. Maybe that was known, but I didn't know that. And so it did catch me by surprise. But, you realize too that, the motivation, these guys were motivated by something, and sometimes you need that, and, it was just a really nice way to end the whole thing in a way. It was like the period at the end of a sentence. It was like, okay, and then let's go get our medals now, that kind of thing. And because the medal ceremony was right after, and, people might not know this, but the Winter Olympics always ends with the men's hockey, gold medal game. That's always the last medal they give out. It was a prolonged, period of time. They got the podium set up, the players came out, so the cameras were on this for a while, a good chunk of time after the game was over, as opposed to other games where it's over, they do a post game and they move on, right? So yeah, it was super hyper emotional, and it was just a really, really, great way to finish what was, I think, one of the greatest hockey games. We're going to talk about this. People talk about Miracle on Ice. You mentioned, like Summit Series, our kids, our grandkids are going to ask, hey, what was that game like? What were you doing? And stuff like that, and so even this podcast could be a time capsule for that in the future. I mean, it really was fun to see, to go, scanning the web this morning and seeing like every page you went across the country had it on the cover of their newspaper for whatever that's worth in the digital age. But it was super, super, super cool, and this is highly emotional, obviously, but there was such a range of emotions anyway, going through the whole thing, the whole tournament and the whole game, back and forth. And it's I think we'll never forget it. And it's the kind of moment that in the back of your head you're always thinking about, can it happen? I mean, Tim said they dominated the tournament, but it's still caught me by surprise that they won it, because I thought when they went to overtime, I thought to myself, it's probably not going to be a long overtime either way, but I can see Canada scoring and this whole thing just falls apart again, and we'd be here talking about something totally different. I
I
don't
looked
think
at my wife in the third period. I said, we don't want overtime.
right.
And if we do go to overtime, I'm saying it now, it isn't going to last 2 minutes. That's exactly what I said. Because I knew the initial lineup that was going to be out there was going to be McKinnon, McDavid, and McCarr, and we were screwed.
Yeah.
That was it.
If they had enough possession, it would have been, yeah.
If they won the face-off, we were done. Like that's all I was thinking in my head. If we go to overtime, that's what's going to happen. We want no part of that. We got to win this in regulation, and then overtime. And I was like, oh God. And I was sitting there dreading it the entire time, going, this is not going to go well. This is not going to go well. And
because after 2010, I don't think I can live with it. If this had gone again the other way, I don't think that would have broken me, I think.
Yep. Yeah, I couldn't deal with that second time.
No. And look, it means so much more for the US program because they're not always winning gold medals. Like we've said, hockey is not even potentially the fifth or sixth sport in this country, depending on who you ask, right? So you need these breakthrough moments. You need this, and I think it's historic, and and I'm sure they'll be, they landed in Miami because of the snowstorm in New York, and they got like a hero's welcome in Miami, and it was awesome, and so stuff like that, I think is, these images that we're going to see for days and days of these, the NHL starts up again on Wednesday, and I'm sure wherever arenas they're going to be. And it reminded me too of like, Connor Hellebuck plays for the Jets and Austin Matthews plays in Toronto. It's kind of curious to see what kind of reception these guys get, when they go back to their home rinks. But, whatever. I mean, it's nice to have bragging. I have Canadian friends, and it was nice to be a good sport and to, text them and, text them stuff like, I didn't forget 2010. And they knew exactly what I'm talking about. Right. So, and then you have the whole political thing, the tariffs, the Four Nations thing from last year. I mean, there's a lot here. There's a lot to play with, and look, Canada and US are like brother and sister. They're siblings in a way, right? We're rivals, but we're also siblings. And, look, you win some, you lose some. It just happened to be that Canada won a lot more than we did over the years. And it's nice to finally say we got one.
So Topps got in on the action of the Olympics, and they issued a set of, or they're now set. They have like their Topps Now baseball and their Topps Now hockey stickers, which we sometimes talk about and or make fun of. But they made some hockey cards in the Olympic set, within the Olympic set. So it was Topps Now Olympics, but I want to point out some of the hockey cards that they made. So they made a card of Aaron Frankel, Hillary Knight, Megan Keller, Jack Hughes, and in another one featuring Megan Keller and Jack Hughes. And then in the previous week, they made a Brock Nelson card. So what's interesting about the Frankel and the Hughes cards is that those were a little bit more because they had odds of you getting an autographed card. Now, by odds, I mean there was one autographed card. So all of these had like blue parallels and red parallels. They had like the different like numbered parallels, and you could buy one card for $8.99 or $11.99, or 5 cards for this much, or 10 cards for this much, or 20 cards, whatever, right? But the Aaron Frankel card, there was an autographed version but there's only one. So, I mean, okay, one person is going to get that card. And then same with the Jack Hughes. And I'll show you a picture of the autographed card, which raises the question, how did they have a picture of a card that's autographed of a card that hasn't really been printed yet? But you know what I just want to say, though, is that these cards are probably not on, most of them are not on sale anymore as of this recording. And by the time you listen to this podcast, you know, they might have another card online, they might not. But go on eBay because I know like the Brock Nelson card, I bought it for like, with tax, I think I paid like $5.30 or something. And I'm probably going to pick up the rest of these. And then looking at these, I kind of want, especially since both the men's team and the women's team won, I want a full set of Olympic hockey cards. Team USA, I want a full set. I look at some of these and I go, okay, yeah, of course the ones with the flags look nice, but damn, I mean, okay, love them or hate them. I'm not like, I don't find this jersey super inspiring. And Clemente, you're right, it does look like a Rangers jersey a little bit if you squint, or a lot. But like, I look at these cards and I go, man, this would be a cool set to have, right? You know, the 25 men's players, the 20 or 25 or so women's players, the coaches, a group shot, some highlights, you know what I mean? Make it like 50 cards or 60 cards or something, or do a men's set and a women's set. I don't know. It would just be awesome. That's my opinion. Did you guys buy any of these?
No.
So it's funny. I was going to ask you guys because we have a group chat. I was going to ask, like, are you gonna buy any of these? And I just kind of knew that Tim would say no, and Sal probably went all in or something. So
Am I that predictable, or what do you?
Am I that predictable?
Really?
Yes, I think I know you guys well enough.
Because they're stickers.
Well, no, but in this case, these are cards. These are cards. But nonetheless, I think there's a FOMO here. But it is interesting. I said in the last podcast that these don't hold their value, and the fact that you can buy them now on Topps website for like $8.99, you can get them on eBay for $5, tells me that they're losing their value like before they even printed. So
well, somebody bought 20 of them.
Sure,
pre-ordered 20 of them.
Yeah.
And they're hoping to get that like a numbered parallel.
So I will make a full confession. I got the Jack Hughes one, and I thought, hey, you know, one day there'll be a chance at a show or something to get that autographed, and it would be awesome because it's got the white space underneath it. And that could be 5 years from now. I don't know. I'm not saying Jack Hughes is doing signings, but he could be at Fanatics Fest this summer. Who knows? Anything can happen. So I just got one to make sure I can get it signed, you know, in the future at some point. Or even like some of the women's cards, I didn't get them, but I know I can get them on the secondary market, and maybe at an expo someday, when they're in the Hall of Fame or they're inducted or something, we can get them signed at that show. So these are nice cards because you have the white surface. They're nice to get autographed, but you know, it's not something that I'm like dying to get, obviously. And like, I'm not, you know, I didn't buy the Olympic, you know, set or anything. I didn't order any of these other cards that are here. So yeah, I mean, there's going to be, I mean, I'm curious about the print runs because I think they're going to print a lot of these. I think people are going to, I mean, it may even beat what was the Shohei Ohtani, I think was the record. And then I think the Pope Leo was number 2. So I can see Jack Hughes being the Pope here. I'm not, you know, I'm pretty sure he might get more attention.
Do I like them? Yes. Do they look cool? Yes. Do I like the photography? Absolutely. Topps now to me is not even a thought until somebody brings it up. I'm like, oh yeah, that. Like, I got turned off on the whole print on demand thing. Probably, I don't know, early on. Project 2020, Project 70, whichever one that was. Like, it was cool for a minute, and then I'm like, enough already. Or even the Topps Living set. I tried to get all the Pirates until it just got ridiculous. And then I gave up.
I think with Topps now, they did a turn back the clock. And they had one that had Tom Glavine playing hockey. It was a baseball card, obviously, because they can't do like NHL cards. But I bought that. It was like a 3-pack, and I bought that. And then they did like some Star Wars The Mandalorian cards that use 7980 Topps hockey designs. And I'm like, all right, I'm going to buy these cards because they look like the 7980 Topps hockey set. But then when they do that again, I don't really fall for it anymore. Sorry, I interrupted.
No, I mean, it's the same thing. And even game dated moments with Upper Deck. I was all right with it for a while. And then it was just like, we keep going and going and going. Infinite. You can just infinitely keep going.
Let me ask you this, though. Oh, and actually, let me say this first. Topps now, not capital N now, lowercase n, as of this moment, Topps is charging for shipping. When I would buy Topps Now stickers every now and then, it would say select like saver shipping. And then it'd be like ships in like 5 to 10 days, right? And so I'd always get free shipping. So I'd buy my 5 stickers for $15 when I only wanted one, or maybe it was Connor Bedard. And I said, all right, well, I could definitely get rid of the other 4, right? And I would pay the $14.99 and then the sales tax, right? So it was $16.50 or whatever, and I get my 5 stickers. Now, unless it's like a $30 order, I don't know what the minimum is, but when I tried to order one Brock Nelson card, because I tried to order it from Topps. I said, all right, I'll buy it. It's $8.99, $3.10. And I'm like, wait, I gotta pay shipping on this? And it was just like, okay, wow. So all of a sudden this $9 card becomes a $12 card, becomes a $13 card. And the way I feel about it is that if these were $5 a piece, I would just buy them without even thinking twice. $5 and $1 shipping, done. You know, if people can do eBay standard envelope for 99 cents, why can't Topps do shipping for 99 cents?
And they're sending out thousands of them,
right?
More. So right.
And the thing is that if you buy 20 of them and they only charge you $1 for shipping, well, guess what? They're making like $100 on you for that. They could pay the $3 for the padded envelope or whatever. I don't know. You know what I'm saying though? Like, if these were $5 a piece, it'd be like, okay, cool. But at $8.99 or $11.99, because you might get an autograph.
That's the thing. Without getting into the weeds on this, there's a lotto ticket. You're scratching it because you're like, okay, at worst I'll buy 5. At worst I'll get the 5 that I ordered, or at best I'll get the 1 of 1, or I'll get the parallel. I mean, you're probably not going to get it if you're buying 5, but you never know. And so they rely on that. We saw this at the last Olympics with the men's basketball team. Like,
yes,
that became a premium item. Now I can see the Jack Hughes 1 of 1 when someone does get that. I mean, I already saw a tweet yesterday from Golden saying, like, this is the great card. If you get it, contact us at Golden. And if you get it, you're probably going to sell, and it's going to be a big auction item, and you got to strike while the iron's hot. And yeah, I'm sure that it'll do super well. And look, Topps Now has always existed, but once Fanatics took over Topps, they made Topps Now more enticing. Because before that, it was really like tumbleweeds. Like, why would anybody order these cards? And I think that was proven by the fact that some of these cards were like, there was like 20 and 30 of them. And not because you would think, oh, only 30 cards, that's scarce. No, because nobody cared. Nobody wanted them.
Right.
Right. This is different. I'm sure the Jack Hughes card is they're going to print 10,000 of these. I mean, everyone's going to order them. I mean, I saw them all over social media today. These were really talked about. It's a great photo, obviously. Yeah, I do think it's the kind of thing that is going to get a lot of attention, but it's a moment in time. And then we'll see at the spectacular in a couple of weeks, and we'll see at the national, at the expo. Will these cards exist? Will we see them in the showcases? If not, it's a flash in the pan. It goes away. If not, they have some staying power. They stick around. I doubt they will, because these things never hold their value. Topps Now.
Yeah. So real quick, just to say, so there's here we're looking at Aaron Frankel, the Megan Keller card. There's a short print variant that's a horizontal shot from overhead. Honestly, not that interesting looking at the top of somebody's head like that. It's just a different angle. Hillary Knight, and then Jack Hughes. So there's a regular version, there's a short print, and then a super short print, which is in the next image I'll show you. And then the 1 of 1 gold version that's autographed, that says Golden Goal Go USA 2/22/26. I like the I like the one here in the middle though, the short print. That look on his face. He looks like he's just been like crowned homecoming queen or something. You know, like, oh my god, you know what I mean? It's just the way his hands are up, like he's like like I won. You know what I mean? It's such a cool photo. I like, you know what I mean? It's so honest. You know what I mean?
No, I agree, but I also don't know how rare these are. They're not numbered. They're short print. I don't know how that's going to work. I mean, I guess once these ship out in the next 15 days, we'll see people posting them on social media. I'm curious to see who gets what's out there in the wild, what they're worth, what the secondary market on eBay will say. But I feel like in 2 weeks from now, will this event kind of, people forget, they move on, in terms of in the hobby, they may be moving on. So I don't know if it's going to have any staying power. I'm curious. I mean, if it does, it bucks the trend for sure.
So apparently you can still buy that one.
Yeah, I mean,
you can still buy the Jack Hughes
through the 25th
color combo card.
Yeah.
Yeah, it might be.
The rest of them are gone.
It might be by the time this podcast drops, the cards might not be available.
Also, they're already disappearing. I mean, because
the rest of them aren't available. All the women's ones, those are
right.
These are the only two that are left as of right now. And you're right; it doesn't say how many of the short prints there are. It only says the colored variants that are actually numbered.
Right, and then there's the super short print where he's wearing the flag and he's raising his fist in the air. And then there's the dual card with Megan Keller and Jack Hughes wearing their gold medals. And I mean, I like all of them, honestly. But I'll probably just go to eBay and just buy one I mean, here, just reading the prices. One Jack Hughes card is $11.99. 5 is $49.99. So that's $10 a card. I mean, how are you going to... I mean, I guess, but why? Like, why do you need 5 of them? Oh, because I might get a parallel. I fell for that with the Gavin McKenna cards that Topps now did as part of their Bowman U. Yeah. Did Tim buy it? No, of course not. No, the Bowman U cards?
Yeah. I thought that was still available.
No, those were only out for like 2 days each. They did one like Saturday to Monday and one like Sunday to Tuesday, as far as the McKenna card goes.
Oh, I saw one that was out there. Somebody just said something about it like a day or two ago.
Oh,
but there was one about him breaking the freshman record or whatever.
Oh, then I missed that one, which is funny because I subscribe to all their emails and they never email me about the hockey cards. I did
check it out. It's probably still on there.
Well, by the way, you mentioned that last time, and as soon as they won the gold medal, maybe that afternoon on Sunday, I went to the Topps Now site and saw these cards, but I got no email about it. Then I saw them subsequently on social media. But you're right, never got. By
the time you get the emails, they're gone.
It's right. So
I got an email, but that was like maybe.
I actually went to the site because I knew that they would put more stuff on there. I knew that they had been doing that throughout the tournament. Actually, to be honest, they could have done more if you think about it, because there were some pretty exciting moments that, I mean, they had the Brock Nelson card, which is not much of a card. He's not doing anything on there. And I mean, they could have done more. I mean, and they didn't. So, they saved the best for last. They won the gold. And it's like, okay, let's flood it. Let's put.
Maybe they should come out with like an update or a series 2 on the Chrome set. That way they can capture all these photos and throw something out there.
And people would respond to stuff in packs more than they would these print on demand, I think.
I think so.
Oh, yeah.
I want a box set, 1 card of each player, because I'm going to feel a certain way about this when I'm older, so.
Yeah, I think that's right. You put them in a binder, you can always go back and look.
Yeah. I mean, I'm not like a diehard Olympic hockey card collector, but really there hasn't been too many. And I'll say this in just a little bit of self-promotion. I got an article coming out for the Hockey News where I actually wrote about Olympic hockey cards, or cards featuring international, mainly Olympic teams. And yeah, I mean, I really had to think hard. I mean, there's some obvious ones, but then there's some like less obvious ones. But, there's like a lot of years where they just didn't put out any Olympic hockey type cards because there was no reason to. There was no demand for it, in that like pre-NHL era. pre-NHL sending its players to the Olympics era. So, yeah.
It's hard for licensing.
Oh, yeah, licensing and then for like a tournament that's relatively short.
Yeah.
I think the only thing that kind of, I remember in 93, 94, Topps Premier Series 2 had cards of Team USA players. And O-Pee-Chee Premier from that year had cards of Canadian players. And the thing is that was when the national team would play together for like a year, or like, they play together for a couple months before going to the Olympics. So they were able to get photos of these players, let's say in like from August to like, say, December. And then when Series 2 came out in February, I mean, I remember opening packs and being like, oh, Peter Laviolette. That's the guy he's the captain of the Olympic team this year. You know what I mean? And he had a card in that set. You know what I mean? So I remember like the timing for that kind of synced up, where like there were Olympic cards that were in packs as the Olympics were going on. But that was because the players were playing together months ahead of time. So.
Yeah, and us for having Team USA access to anything on cardboard is practically impossible. I mean, Upper Deck does a pretty good job with Tim Hortons every year, focusing on that. Or with the, Team Canada junior sets and stuff like that. But because there isn't a demand for it, I guess there's no real push to have a product out there that focuses on Team USA versions.
Right.
Maybe that'll change, or maybe not.
You guys want to talk about some NHL cards to wrap this show up?
Do it. Let's do it.
We don't have to. We could just skip this. So all the people who've been listening from the beginning and like, I was here specifically because you were going to discuss the 25-26 Upper Deck Series 2 Young Guns checklist. And we're like, well, nah, we're out of time. Sorry. No, we're not out of time. I guess that's one problem with the podcast, but also it's a nice thing is that you could just talk, I've been on radio talk shows enough times where it's been like, well, Sal, in the next 30 seconds, can you please tell us what you think of the Hockey Hall of Fame inductees? And it's like, okay, well, let me talk about Marian Hossa for 5 seconds. And then I'll talk about the next guy for 5 seconds. You know what I mean? Like, so you're like, right. And here it's just like, blah, I love it, So Series 2. So Upper Deck Series 2 is coming out March 4th of this year. Like past Series 2, like typical Upper Deck Series 1, Series 2 extended series. You got 250 cards. You got a base set of 200 cards, 50 Young Guns. You get a Young Gun, one in every other pack. And then, of course, you have like the Outburst Gold, 1 of 1, the High Gloss, which is numbered out of 10, the Outburst Red, which is numbered out of 25, the UD Exclusives, which is numbered out of 100, the Deluxe, which is numbered out of 250, Clear Cut, which you find 1 in every 144 packs, and an Outburst Silver, which are found 1 in every 60 packs. And that has to do with the Young Guns. Outburst Silvers themselves, you get one, maybe a little less than 1 per box. But so that's the skinny on the set. Now, a lot of Young Guns, not going to read all 50 of them to you, read them off to you. If you're watching the video of this, you can pause the screen here and read it if you like. But guys, which of these names, if any, jump out to you? I mean, we could start with the most obvious one, which is comfortably in spot number 451, which is usually where that most popular Young Gun goes for Series 2.
I mean, we knew Matthew Schaefer was going to be in this since he wasn't in Series 1. He had to be in Series 2. So that was kind of a no-brainer on that one. But I don't mind this checklist at all, to be honest with you.
Okay.
Unless you want me to lie, and then I'll tell you that I do mind it. But for my own personal reasons, I like the fact that Ben Kindle is on this list. Ben Kindle is a superstar, and I don't care what anybody says. Guy's a stud, period. So I'm glad he's got something in here.
He's on the
I'm sure.
Penguins?
Yes.
What position does he play?
He plays every position you can imagine playing because he's that good.
Okay.
You name it, he plays it. No,
Well, for the listeners who, thank you. He's a center.
He's a right-handed center.
Okay.
But at the break, he had 27 points.
Okay.
So he was in the top 10 in rookie scoring, which is pretty good. Matthew Schaefer sitting at 3. So that'll probably change once the season starts back up here, upcoming on Wednesday. But you go through this list, there are names on here. If you watch hockey, even casually, there are names on here that are guys that are on rosters and have been on rosters most of the season. There aren't like huge, mega superstar names jumping off of the list, but again, you got Schaefer on here. Danilo Yurov is on here. Another, higher end prospect. Who else do we got on here? Card 459. That's funny. I just noticed that. So card 459. Arseny Gritziuk. He's for the Devils, right? So it's interesting because on this list you have here, where'd you pull this from? Is this right off of their checklist?
Checklistinsider.com or something.
All right. Which they probably pull it off the checklist that Upper Deck sends out. So I would trust this. They spell his name Arseni. The official record on his name through NHL is Arseny.
Okay.
So I'm wondering if the card's going to be with an I or a Y. That's interesting. That just kind of jumped off at me right there. You got Zeev Buium, who's a pretty good defenseman that was involved in the trade for Quinn Hughes from the Wild to Vancouver. So there's a name that maybe not a household name, but he's no slouch. He's no I played one game, I got my young gun, and you're never going to hear from me again guy.
We have a name for those, Tim.
Yeah, scrub guns.
Scrub guns.
Certainly not a scrub gun. ASP number 484. There's a name that people are going to hear. He's a pretty good defenseman also for the Red Wings.
You could say his full name. We have time. Like
Alex Sandin Pellica.
Yeah.
Yeah, all these hyphenated names. There's too many in the league. You're starting to get names of people that don't fit on the back of their jerseys anymore.
Yeah, I know.
And you can't forget Michael Misa's in here. So
Michael Misa, yeah.
You don't hear Misa's name a lot anymore because he kind of gets overshadowed by a couple of his teammates, and for good reason. But those of you that have been around longer than 18 months in the hobby will remember that although he was selected as number 2 by the Sharks in 2025, there was a very long period of time where we all thought he was going number 1, including up into, 4 years before he was even draft eligible. People thought he was going to be the undisputed number 1 pick that year. So much so that even back in 2024, if you guys remember, Upper Deck signed him to an exclusive deal to sign autographs and make cards of and all of that kind of stuff. Because in junior hockey, he was granted exceptional status for 22-23 in the OHL, but he was only 15. So if you don't know what that means or whether it's a big deal or not, there's only been 6 players in league history that was ever given to. So right before his 17th birthday, Upper Deck kind of signed him to a big contract. So to sign autographs and all that kind of stuff. So his name's been around and thrown around a lot even prior to him getting in the league. So maybe not making a big splash yet, but I think he's got potential, especially on a young Sharks team that's stacked with guys right now. But yeah, so there's names on here. It's not like a list of nobodies, like one major powerhouse and then a list of nobodies. Now, is that going to translate well into the hobby? I mean, we all know that it doesn't, right? People get these, they get the major names that get the most traction. Everybody else gets forgotten about. They're a buck or two at some point, halfway through the season or halfway through the set being out there, never to be heard from again until 3 years down the road when all of a sudden they get talked about all the time and people are like, oh, this guy was in series 2 of 25-26. Who knew? And then their card goes from $1 to $75
or
in a
worse,
matter of 48 hours.
Or worse, like they'll score like a hat trick in a game 3 years from now, and then it'll just inflate the price for just a little bit, and then it goes right back to being like $5 or whatever it is. No, you're right about that.
Tim,
I always call it the Zibanejad effect.
Well, I thought you were alluding to Tage Thompson.
Tage Thompson's another more recent
Clemente, you're alluding to Mika Zibanejad because I remember he had like that 5-goal game or 4-goal game or something.
This was like still pandemic-y times or right after the pandemic, and all of a sudden everybody wanted it until they didn't want it. You know, like it was. Yeah. You know, I mean, it's not
that either of them are bad players. They're not. No, they're absolutely not. But we all know
there's no room in the
hobby doesn't translate to good as far as the play of a player.
Right. Mm-hmm.
Never does, never really has, and probably never will.
Oh, you know, you skipped a really important young gun on this list.
Well,
did I?
So, am I going to have to address the elephant in the room?
You're talking about Mark Gatcomb of the Islanders, right?
No. Oh, the elephant in the room? You mean number 498?
Yeah, Tusky.
Yeah.
He's the lovable mascot of the Utah Mammoth.
Honestly, until right this second, I didn't know his name was Tusky.
Yeah. Which is funny because if they kept the name Utah Hockey Club, would they have a mascot called Clubby, and he would have just been like a caveman club with like little eyes and a face on it? Like, you know, I'm here.
That would have been terrible.
I'm here to beat the opposition, right?
Yeah, I'll just point out. I'll just point out. I mean, Tim did a great job. He always does a great job scouting the rookies for us, but I'll point out that Mark Gatcomb is a good rookie as well for the Islanders, and he shares a card with Matthew Schaefer, which they did last year too. With was it Celebrini and Will Smith? And they did these like sort of new young guns where they have teammates on it. I don't know if the hobby responded to those as well as Upper Deck probably wanted to, but it's an interesting thing. It's also a chance to produce more rookie cards or rookie year cards of a certain player. Like, I mean, if you think about it, Schaefer is not just on his own Young Guns card, but he's on the checklist with Michael Misa, and then he's got this teammates card. So he's got basically, you got 3 shots at getting him as part of your Young Guns. I mean, it's fine because, you know, like the Ivan Demidov Young Gun is what, over $100 right now, right?
Wow.
Yeah, so it's high up there. You know,
it's interesting that they threw Gatcomb on a card with Schaefer.
Yeah.
As a dual card when he's in Series 1.
Well, because they have to pad out the list. They got to pad out the list. I've noticed even in last year, this is a good template from last year. Sometimes there's another 2 or 3 good rookies that they'll throw into Extended because they realize Extended has to be a product that needs to sell. Right. So
they already tried the OV autographs last year to sell them. So
and it worked. I mean, it did okay. I mean, Extended wasn't at the National. Extended wasn't so cheap. You can really forget it because people still.
Yeah, if you think about it, because look, you go to 497, then feasibly 498 would be the checklist in normal occasions. So you threw in the Tusky and the double Schaefer Gatcomb card,
right?
Like, so those are like throwaways. So you're telling me they couldn't find 2 more rookies to put on the list?
Yeah, clearly they're looking to hold some, or they want to hold, you know, whatever. I mean, exactly. I mean, they don't want to just overrun the list with scrub guns, you know. So
Gatcomb is good though. By the way, I agree.
He is good, and both him and Schaefer were at the rookie showcase. I was in September, so they were both there together. Now that I was looking back at my list of players that were there. And a lot of them at the showcase were, like I said, holdovers from last season. So a lot of them were in Series 1. So yeah, I think Upper Deck is doing a much better job at, the number 1 pick and number 2 pick and 3 pick are usually in Series 2, but generally they try to spread them out a little bit more where the leftovers end up in Series 1, and then they try to hold somebody at least for extended, and then whatever. Then if anyone's super good, they're going to try to save them for next year in Series 1. But it's a formula that works for Upper Deck. They've been doing this for a while now, so it's fine. But yeah, I can see people chasing the Schaefer card. I'd be curious to see if, I think Schaefer's right now 3rd or 4th in rookie scoring, so I'd be curious to see if he could.
Yeah, he was 3rd at the pause.
Yeah, so I wonder if Demidov is 1. I wonder if Demidov is at $100 or 115, 120, 125. I'm curious to see if Schaefer could, out of the gate, where he'll be, $50, $75, whatever it is. So, I mean, these come out next week, so we'll know pretty soon. We'll see them on eBay probably as early as this weekend. I'm sure some of them will leak out early, so we'll see what happens.
Of course they'll leak out early. I'm surprised there's not out there yet.
Right.
Yeah, because they'll have them in hand, because sometimes they'll ship them if like a product comes out on like a Wednesday. Sometimes they'll ship them out on like Monday, Tuesday, so they get them early. Yeah, because I know I've seen that happen before, and I've heard about that happening before.
Yeah, people post photos on social media like on a Tuesday, going like, I bought a box at a store because maybe the store didn't realize they got the date wrong, or sometimes that happens with the retail product. They end up on the shelf like a week before they should, or like a couple of days before, and you're like, oh, these are on the shelf, and then someone will take a picture, and then whatever at a Target or something. So yeah, I mean, we'll by this weekend we'll definitely see stuff on eBay, and we'll see stuff definitely Monday, Tuesday. I mean, sometimes you see breakers do it on the day before. It's like, oh, how do they get it? And nobody asked any questions.
I remember, reference one of my old jobs, but I remember when the movie Batman Returns came out in was it 92?
Wait, hold on. Sal worked at toy shop. It's my bingo.
No,
card.
This is the comic book store.
Oh, comic book. Oh, hold on. Okay.
Yeah.
Wait a minute. Yeah. Are you telling me you worked at a comic book store?
Yeah, for 2.5 years.
Are you serious?
My first job.
Wow.
Yeah. So I remember we got the comic book adaptation of Batman Returns before the movie came out, and we were supposed to wait until when the movie came out and then put them on the shelves. But we just put them on. On the shelves. We're just like, the movie comes out Friday, but it was like New Comic Book Day is Wednesday, but sometimes we'd get some of our new books on Monday, depending on which distributor was sending them to us. So we had them on like Monday, and my boss was like, just put them on the shelf. Maybe more people will buy them if they don't want to go to the movie. They'll just buy the comic book adaptation for $6.
Let me ask you this: so A, does it work, and B, is it a big no-no?
It does what work?
Like putting it out early, does it sell more? And then B, is it a big no-no to do that?
I mean, it's a no-no, but I mean, people do it all the time. I mean, with the comic books, they can't really enforce the stores not selling the book. Like if they say don't put this on your shelves till Friday, they're going to be like, no, I'm here to sell comic books. I'm going to put it out as soon as I get it.
But in the card world, you can lose your allocation if you put it up a day early.
You could lose your allocation, but I think if you're somebody like Target or Walmart and you have blasters, you're just going to put them out when you get them.
Sure.
Of course, those are all handled by third-party distributors now who just come in and do that thing. So they probably have a little bit more strict guidelines.
Right.
I don't know. I mean, it was obviously more fun when stuff like that happens. I mean, I guess you want everybody to get a fair shake at it, but I don't know.
In a pre-social media world, you wouldn't even know unless you stumbled to the store the day before. But now people post stuff like, I just saw this at this store, and people will just go there then.
I mean, look at how big it was when 23-24 Series 1 came out 2 weeks early, and there was the Connor Bedard Easter egg card that everybody was losing their mind over, right? That was... it was like, oh, this came out today? I thought it was coming out in 2 weeks. And nope, it came out today, or maybe it came out a week early. But it came out earlier than advertised.
And you tell me there's a Connor Bedard Easter egg in there? I mean, the hype on that was,
Yeah, that was, what do you say? It was pretty hype. It was hype. It was hyped, and it was hype.
Well, there's only one glaring omission from that list, which
yeah,
just leads me to believe that that's who's going to be heading up the extended list.
and who's
And that's
that?
Beckett Seneke.
Oh yeah,
Oh yeah.
I mean, he could be challenging Demidov for Rookie of the Year right now.
I was thinking, yeah, was Seneke even in Jacob Fowler? He wasn't in Series 1, was he? Canadians goaltender? No, because he made his debut this year. So he's probably going to be.
I don't know that he was. Does that make him eligible or no?
What?
Does that even make him eligible for one? Because
Why?
he debuted later in the season.
Well, so I believe the cutoff is the All-Star break, but in our case, it's going to be the Olympics. And so Fowler has played 10 games so far.
Yeah, but his debut wasn't until December. That's my only thing. Is that late or early or whatever the cutoff is for to hit extended?
No, that's early enough. It's extended won't do anything past the All-Star break.
Well, yeah, but remember they put Adam Fantilli in extended, and I forgot when he made his debut, but they pushed him from Series 2. I think he was eligible for Series 2. So this could be the same situation where they want to put some hot rookie in there. Otherwise, we could do a whole other show about extended. Like, what's the point of this product, and do people like it or not, and blah blah blah. So unless
I agree, Fowler's it would be an omission if he's eligible for it. Then I mean, I would say for sure.
I don't think they're going to.
Habs fans are hoping he's the second coming of Carey Price. Mm-hmm. So he better get a young gun, at least for all those Canadian fans.
Yeah, I mean, you got to put somebody in extended series. All right, guys, any last thoughts before we wrap this one up? Because this has been a good, long, but good show. I think we checked all the boxes. I got to reference one of my old jobs. And
for those playing at home, yeah.
Yeah, we got to talk about the weather, and we got to talk about a whole bunch of other stuff.
I mean,
that's our show. It's talking about other stuff.
Yeah.
I mean, just
hockey and other stuff.
Yeah, I guess one final thought, just to try to combine these two topics together. Wouldn't it be something to get like Olympic Young Guns cards someday? That'd be amazing.
Go back to the old days where the first cards of players are international.
Like their first debut in the U.S. Like I don't know, but it's all kinds of licensing headaches and problems, and who knows if that ever happens. But
like the Canada Cup cards or the World Junior Championship cards.
It's an idea. It's an idea.
Upper Deck even put cards of World Championships. So yeah, I mean, there's been a variety of like different international.
I mean, there is one thing that's similar to that is the Cami Granado Young Guns. I think she's wearing a U.S. zip top or something. So there, such a thing does with the medals. Such a thing does exist, but it's possible in the future, maybe. That's my final thought.
Yeah. Tim?
I mean, Upper Deck's got Team Canada license. They have Team USA license now. And since all these players are pretty much NHL players, they've got the NHLPA license. So let's intermix them all and make something cool. And if we can't do that, at least do whatever the next tournament's going to be in 2 years. Like the World Cup or whatever they're calling it.
Right.
Let's do that.
Yeah, I agree. I'd love to see more international hockey cards, and I'm definitely looking forward to the next international tournament, whether it's a World Cup of Hockey, a Four Nations face-off, or something else. So until then, thank you for listening to the Puck Junk Hockey Podcast. As always, if you've enjoyed the show, please be sure to like and subscribe. Give us a follow on social media and subscribe to the newsletter at puckjunk.com/newsletter. And until next time, collect what you like.